A public good is a good or service that has two characteristics: non-rivalry in consumption and non-excludability. A private good has excludability or rivalry. Examples of public goods are national defense, levies, and clean air. The two characteristics of public goods: one, non-rivalry in consumption, is a situation in which increased consumption of a good by one person does not decrease the amount available for consumption by others. For example, national defense is a good where your consumption does not prohibit others from consuming it as well. Non-excludability is a situation in which no one can be excluded from consuming a good. For example, national defense. If our houses are close to each other, and some of you are protected by national defense, then I too must also be defended. A free rider problem is a problem arising in the case of public goods because those who do not contribute to the cost of providing the public good cannot be excluded from the benefits of it. Again, going back to the national defense example, no one would choose to pay for it if it were a private good, because it is going to be provided anyways, regardless of whether you pay for it or not. One way to avoid free rider problems is to charge fees to all users. For example, user fees have been common in government services such as national parks. User fees are fees charged for the use of a good normally provided by the government. Decisions on which public good to produce or how much to produce can be analyzed using cost-benefit analysis. Cost-benefit analysis is an appraisal of a project based on the expected costs and benefits derived from it. Contingent valuation is an estimation of the willingness to pay for a project by asking the consumers who may benefit from the project. For example, people can be asked in surveys how much they are willing to pay for having more police patrolling an area. Economists do not believe that contingent valuation is reliable. If people know they do not have to pay for the good, then they won't pay for the good. Externalities. Externality is a situation in which the cost of producing or the benefits of consuming a good spill over onto those who are not producing or consuming the good. There are two types of externalities: positive externality and negative externality. A negative externality is a situation in which the costs spill over onto someone not involved in producing or consuming the good. A positive externality is the situation in which the benefits spill over onto someone not involved in producing or consuming the good. With negative externalities, the market produces more of a good than the efficient quantity because producers do not take into account the cost to others when they produce their goods. Examples are air pollution, loud music, and traffic. Marginal private cost is the marginal cost of production as viewed by the private firm or individual. Marginal social cost is the marginal cost of production as viewed by society as a whole. The sum of the firm's marginal private cost and the increase in external cost to society as more is produced. Marginal social cost is equal to marginal private cost plus marginal external cost. This figure illustrates the relationship between the marginal social cost and the marginal private cost in a situation with a negative externality. Looking at the figure, if producers produce goods by taking into account the marginal private cost, then the quantity produced will exceed the socially efficient quantity. At the quantity that the market produces, the marginal social cost is larger than the marginal benefit, and the economy generates a deadweight loss equal to the shaded triangle. Positive externality occurs when the activity of one person makes another person better off by either reducing costs or increasing benefits. Examples of positive externalities are growing a nice garden in front of your home makes you and your neighbors happy. Improving your hygiene makes it harder for some diseases to spread to other individuals. Marginal private benefit is the additional benefit from consumption of a good as viewed by a private individual. Marginal social benefit is the additional benefit from consumption of a good from the viewpoint of society as a whole. Looking at this figure, it illustrates the relationship between the marginal private benefit and the marginal social benefit when positive externality exists. With positive externality, as illustrated in this figure, the marginal social benefit is higher than the marginal private benefit. So the socially efficient production quantity of the good with the positive externality is higher than what the market produces. At the quantity that the market produces, the social marginal benefit is larger than the marginal cost. So increasing production would have increased society's surplus. Producing at a quantity below the socially efficient quantity results in a deadweight loss. The deadweight loss is shaded with a triangle.